Georgia.
Okay, ready? Open coming in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Heating Up, an open discussion of hot topics from the world of sports. With your hosts, Russell Jones and Elijah Wilson, Heating Up is a production of the Communication Department at Austin Peay State University. Produced in the studios of WAPX-FM, opinions expressed are those of its hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the comm department, the station, or APSU. You're Heating Up on Clarksville's 91.9 FM.
Hello and welcome to Heating Up. I'm Russell Jones, and joined alongside me is Elijah Wilson, and we're set to recap a great weekend of college football, Elijah. We'll start off with APSU as they hosted Murray State, the battle at the border, but Murray State wins this one 45-17. K.D. Humphreys was unreal for Murray State as he throws for 5 TDs and 455 yards. Tommy Hayes, though, had a great performance. Switches to Marius Mitchell out at quarterback. Coach Will Hilly does after the first couple series. Bring Hayes in. Hayes comes on and has a stellar performance, but Murray State just outgained this APSU offense, 565 yards to 355.
Yeah, and K.D. Humphreys and company just too much on the weekend for the Govs to overcome. Like you said, Hayes had a great game, 2 rushing touchdowns, the first APSU player since 2013 when Rashawn Coleman rushed for 2 touchdowns against SEMO to have multiple rushing touchdowns in a game. So some good light there, a bunch of young Govs contributing for Austin Peay, so a light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
Oh, for sure, and Jared Beard comes back and off the stellar performance this week. A little slow this week, as so did Kendall Morris, but they didn't get a lot of the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see going against a UT Martin team coming up next Saturday. UT Martin's 2-0 at home, but 2-3 overall. So they're a very strong home team, but Austin Peay needs to go in there and keep improving step by step. Coach Hilly still's got this team in the right direction.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job, just sometimes not enough, but he's got him on the right track.
So the huge game that everybody's been talking about, the University of Tennessee beats Georgia in Georgia 34-31. Joshua Dobbs with a stellar performance, 16 for 26, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara actually leads the Vols in rushing with 96 yards on 16 carries. Jalen Hurd went out with what we think is a lower body injury, but everybody's mostly talking about the last play.
Yeah, and that last play was unreal. I was actually there, and to be there right next to the Tennessee sideline, it was crazy because Tennessee thinks they won the game after they pick off Eason with about 2.5 to go. Then Eason throws a bomb to take the lead with about 19 seconds to go, and then all of a sudden Joshua Dobbs and company throws up a prayer, and somehow Jawan Jennings comes down with the ball. It was unreal to be there. Georgia was a good test on the road for Tennessee. But let's not forget, Georgia got blown out by Ole Miss 45-10, I believe, the week before. And so it's impressive Tennessee goes on the road in front of 92,000 and beats Georgia. But I'm not sold completely on Tennessee yet. This weekend at A&M is going to be a big challenge for Josh Dobbs and company coming in with Texas A&M riding this hot streak right now.
Definitely. We'll touch on that game later, as that one had playoff implications. But another game over the weekend that had huge playoff implications that was fun to watch was Clemson defeating Louisville 42-36. Deshaun Watson goes 20 for 31, 306 yards, 5 TDs, though he does throw 3 interceptions to that potent Louisville defense, has 91 yards on the ground. But Lamar Jackson keeps the stunner performances going, folks. He was fun to watch. It was almost like I was watching Michael Vick back in 1999. Not that I remember, but I've YouTubed the highlights. 27 for 44, 295 yards through the air, 1 TD. He throws an interception as well, but he runs for 162 yards and 2 TDs on the ground as he looks to be Louisville's offense, but that's really all they need when they have Lamar Jackson back there. but they fall. But we discussed this before the show. This doesn't necessarily mean that Louisville's out of the playoff hunt just yet. This means that the ACC possibly could have 2 teams in the playoff if both these teams went out, being in the same division in the ACC, the Atlantic.
Yeah, and what is a bummer is that they're both in the same division and that we can't get a rematch during the ACC championship. But don't count them out yet. We could have a rematch in the college football championship potentially. I don't see a Big 12 team getting in this year with Texas down, Oklahoma down again this year. TCU not as strong, Baylor not as good without Art Briles there. And so ACC could potentially have 2 teams with Clemson and Louisville being in both the Atlantic Division. It was kind of like a couple years ago when Alabama and LSU both played in the regular season, and then they came back and played each other in the national championship. Lamar Jackson has solidified himself as the Heisman front runner. He goes into Death Valley, plays this very good Clemson team who all around is good with Wayne Gallman, Mike Williams, Deshaun Watson, and then Dabo Swinney is always going to have that pretty good Clemson defense. And Lamar Jackson put on an absolute clinic, looked very good. He is in the front runner seat for the Heisman. And let's go ahead and debunk the narrative that Josh Dobbs is in the Heisman hunt, because at this point he isn't. 2 solid wins, 1 at home, 1 on the road. But I think he has to beat A&M and Bama the next 2 weeks to put himself in that front seat for the Heisman race.
For sure. I think the reason people are so excited about Josh Dobbs is because he's risen to the occasion for Tennessee in this offense. When we thought it was going to be Jalen Hurd and Alvin Kamara, Joshua Dobbs has answered the call and really took the horns of this offense when it's needed a big play. And that throw to Jawan Jennings is just a glowing example of that in the Georgia game. But just real quick, I want to get your take on this. Washington beats Stanford Friday night, takes care of them. That has been overshadowed over the weekend, and it solidifies Lamar Jackson as a front runner even more as Christian McCaffrey is shut down by that Washington defense. But Washington, yeah, they have Oregon coming up next week, but if they win out, that's another team that's going to be kind of a sneaker playoff team.
Yeah, and if Washington wins out, then they absolutely have to be in the playoff. If they win the Pac-12, win out, beating Stanford, that Washington team is very good. And I said this before the season, that everyone's forgetting that Stanford lost a lot of people, which they did. They lost Kevin Hogan, but Christian McCaffrey, really the only returner there this year. And I feel bad for Washington because they're not getting much coverage about that game, because you've got Clemson and Louisville that was maybe one of the games of the year, definitely the matchup of the year. And then you've got Tennessee, who beats Georgia on a Hail Mary pass. But I feel bad for Washington. But this weekend, Mark Helfrich at Oregon just made a quarterback change, bringing in his true freshman, so we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, being on the West Coast and playing in the Pac-12, it's always hard to get that coverage and that notoriety that you deserve. But just real quick, Elijah, give me your 4 playoff teams if it started tomorrow.
4 playoff teams: Clemson, Alabama, Houston, and Louisville as of right now. I don't see Houston losing, but let's not forget, Houston and Louisville do play later in the year, so that game will be an unbelievable one to watch, with Greg Ward Jr. going up against Lamar Jackson. But as of right now, those are my 4 teams, which obviously could change even this weekend, but right now those are my teams.
For me, it would have to be Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State out of the Big Ten, and then Houston coming in and sniping that playoff spot from Washington, especially if they go on and beat Louisville. But we're saying as it started tomorrow, their wins against Oklahoma and so far the blowing out of UConn, they've just looked so impressive. Tom Herman, he's on every coaching candidate list, a hot name in college football right now for a good reason, as Houston has been unbelievable. Folks, we're going to preview college football week 6 coming up next weekend. Stay tuned to Govs TV and listening to Clarksville 91.9.
If you or someone you know is interested in attending Austin Peay, make sure to sign up for AP Day. AP Day provides an opportunity to preview the university, and it's coming up Saturday, October 29th. Tour the campus, meet with academic departments and campus organizations. There's also sessions on admissions, financial aid, and housing. For more, go to apsu.edu/AP Day or call 1-800-844-APSU, a campus and community reminder from 91.9 FM.
Welcome back to What's That Gas? I'm your host, Donnie, and today we're going to ask our contestants, what is carbon monoxide?
Carbon monoxide, or CO, is an odorless, colorless gas that can kill you.
Where is CO found?
CO is found in fumes produced anytime you burn fuel in cars, small engines, stoves, fireplaces, and other heating units.
What are the symptoms of CO poisoning?
The most common symptoms of CO poisoning are headache, dizziness, upset stomach, vomiting, and confusion. If you breathe in a lot of CO, it can make you pass out or kill you.
Contestant 2! Name as many carbon monoxide poisoning prevention methods as you can in 15 seconds.
Install a battery-operated battery backup CO detector in your home. Place your detector where it will wake you up outside your bedroom. And, replace your CO detector every 5 years.
You've probably heard Austin Peay is military friendly, with more military and military-related students than any other school in the state. The reason is simple. Austin Peay understands the needs of active duty personnel, vets, and family members. But you may not know, Austin Peay is the only school in Tennessee committed to the Federal Veteran Success Plan. So if you're military-related, find out how Austin Peay can help you. Click the link at apsu.edu, a community reminder from 91.9 FM.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back into Heating Up as we're going to preview Week 6 of college football as the big matchups are set to take place. And the biggest this weekend has to be number 9 Tennessee facing off against Texas A&M. A&M a 5-point favorite in that game. Just to highlight some of the big names to keep an eye on, Joshua Dobbs obviously coming off the big game, Trevor Knight and his legs, Myles Garrett, Travion Williams, and Josh Reynolds, those two stars for A&M's offense, as A&M comes in as the number 1 offense in the SEC, a top 5 offense in the nation, as they are rushing 521 yards per game. Total offense 521 yards per game. This A&M offense is stellar, but these two teams have some similarities as well. And Myles Garrett and David Barnett, these teams both have stellar defensive linemen. What do you see in this matchup?
I see this being a battle of the offensive lines. Tennessee's hasn't looked great this year, while A&M has Jim Turner on their staff, who has produced multiple NFL talents with Luke Jokel, Jake Matthews, guys like that. And so you've got these big heavies up front for Texas A&M blocking Derek Barnett. And Derek Barnett has been unbelievable this year, and I expect him to wreak havoc this week. But you've got an A&M team, and it looks like Texas A&M's wrecking crew is back. For those of you that don't know that, it's because A&M hasn't had a wrecking crew in the past few years, but now they have returned with John Chavis at the helm. They've got Myles Garrett, who's preseason All-American last year. You've got Deshaun Hall on the other side of that A&M defense. You've got a couple guys on the interior, Dalen Mack, who has proved to be very good. Sean Washington at the linebacker position, Otaro Alaka, and then maybe the best safety duo in the country with Armani Watts and Justin Evans, two guys that have played unbelievable for Texas A&M this year. Armani Watts has great tackling ability, great hit ability. He's a hard hitter, big hitter. And then Justin Evans is more of the ball hawk in the middle of the defense. Picked off Josh Rosen twice in the first week against UCLA. But Texas A&M and Tennessee, that's going to be a very good matchup. I look for this to be a battle with the defenses, and then which offense can pretty much take the slack and then improve to give the team just a little bit of an edge, a little bit more of an edge so they can win the game. Something that I noted, Trevor Knight honestly has just as good numbers, if not better, than Josh Dobbs this year. Trevor Knight has thrown for more pass yards rushed for more yards and thrown less interceptions. Josh Dobbs has a few more touchdown passes, but Trevor Knight is throwing to probably the best wide receiver core in the SEC, and this Tennessee secondary is hurt right now with Cam Sutton out. They're playing a couple guys that are really young. It looks like Jalen Reeves-Maybin might not go this weekend. Kirkland also a question mark, and so I look for A&M to try to exploit those weak areas early and often with Noel Mazzoni at offensive coordinator this year, and so it's going to be a fun matchup in College Station. CBS taking it at 2:30.
For sure, and if you're Tennessee, you have to be very scared of the way your defense is playing right now. Statistically, they're their number 60 defense in the nation, giving up 361 yards per game on average and 23 points per game. And you let a Georgia team score 31 points on you. All the key pieces you're missing. The defense for Tennessee is going to be the big matchup against that stellar A&M offense this week to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be unbelievable to watch. I think it might be sneaky one of the best games of the year. I think the line started at 7 and now it's moved down to 5. A lot of fans liking that bigger line taking Tennessee there, but I think this game is going to be a very good game to watch.
What's your final pick?
I've got A&M in this game. I think that Tennessee covers. I think it's about a 3-point game, but I think A&M pulls it out at home in front of 103,000.
I like A&M as well in that game by at least 2 touchdowns. I think they blow Tennessee out of the water. I just don't think Tennessee matches up as well as they believe they do against this A&M Aggie team. Now, just a few miles up the road from College Station, more like a few hours, there is the battle. The Red River rivalry will take place. 2 teams that you could say are pretty disappointed with where they stand right now, especially Oklahoma coming off that playoff run. They've dropped 2 games so far this year. Texas, that big win at Notre Dame earlier in the year, the week 1, doesn't really seem to matter as much now as Notre Dame has dropped, and Texas has dropped a couple games now. You have a huge take on this game for one particular reason.
Yeah, and this is my heating up segment of the week. It's Charlie Strong's hot seat at Texas. If he doesn't win this game, he's looking to maybe be fired in the middle of the season. Rumors have come out that Charlie Strong will be fired after this season, which is comical that comes out in the middle of the season. But nonetheless, this is the game last year where they were ready to fire him. He wins a big game against Oklahoma last year, wins it big, and he keeps his job, survives another year. And so I think this is a very big game for Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma already has 2 losses on the season. They're struggling right now, beat TCU last weekend, but this doesn't look to be the same Oklahoma team that we've seen in the past, more specifically last year. But Charlie Strong is coaching for his job this weekend in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl in the Red River rivalry. I see this as a very good game. I think this game is going to go down to the wire. Last year, Texas kind of ran away with it, but I think this is going to be a very good game because you've got Bob Stoops, who's trying to resurrect his team for the second half of this year, and then you've got Charlie Strong, who's trying to come off a couple losses so far. So that is my heating up segment of the week.
You could say Bob Stoops' seat is very hot as well, especially with how disappointing they be, but I do believe Oklahoma's offense is going to be too much for this struggling Texas defense to handle. I think Baker Mayfield does enough to lead the Oklahoma Sooners to a win in that one. The next matchup we'll look at is number 1 Alabama facing off against number 16 Arkansas. Arkansas a 14-point underdog in this one. Do you like the points?
I love the points in this one. The points are huge in this one. 14 points on the road in Fayetteville against those Wild Hogs in Fayetteville. So I think this game is going to be maybe not super close, but I think that Arkansas covers. I think Alabama is still good this year, but not as good as they have been in the past. I love the points on this one, though.
Well, when you look at Arkansas's offense, they got 2 stellar guys. Austin Allen, who has the number 1 QB rating in the SEC, under center for the Arkansas Razorbacks, and you combine that with Raleigh Williams, one of the top 3 rushers in the SEC, and it's pretty much those two guys versus Alabama's defense, which at times has struggled this year. So if Arkansas can get it going offensively, they definitely have a chance, and I like them to keep this game within a touchdown, much less two. And we'll move to one more quick matchup that I want to take a look at. It's number 23 Florida State versus number 10 Miami. This is my lock of the week. There's a lot of people who like Florida State and Dalvin Cook to come in and beat the Hurricanes in this game. But no, not so fast, as my friend Lee Corso would say. I love Miami in this game. Miami, the fourth-rate defense in the country, coming off that big win against Georgia Tech, 35-21. A Mark Richt-led team, as Georgia Bulldogs will know, is a very disciplined, well-coached team, and they have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation too.
They absolutely do. And Brad Kaya, behind Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, has to be top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the nation. Then you've got that coupled with all the speed and all the athletes that Miami has. Miami, to me, seems like how USC is each year. They have athletes all over the field. The Miami area, just like the LA area, rich in talent with a lot of athletes around the area. And so I see Miami winning this one and beating this FSU team with Dalvin Cook and Francois at quarterback.
Well, it's going to be a great weekend of college football, playoff implication games across the board. But stay tuned as we're going to recap NFL Week 4 and preview NFL Week 5. Stay tuned to Govs TV and keep listening to Clarksville 91.9.
If you're a registered voter in Montgomery County and you would like to cast an early ballot for the November 8th State General and City of Clarksville election, you have from October 19th until the close of business November 3rd. Early voting is at the Montgomery County Election Commission on Paget Lane from 8 until 6 weekdays and 8 until 4 Saturdays. You'll need a state or federal photo ID in order to cast your ballot. For more information, call 648-5707. A community reminder from 91.9 FM. If you're an Austin Peay student and you haven't gotten your flu shot yet, mark your calendar for October 25th. That's when Boyd Student Health Services is holding a mobile flu clinic in the Foy. It runs from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Flu shots cost $25 each and are charged to a student's account. For more details, call Boyd Student Health Services 931-221-7107. A campus reminder from Clarksville's 91.9 FM. Want to keep up with all the cool things we do here at 91.9 FM? Check out our new Facebook page and like us. It's easy, 91.9 FM. Not too hard to remember, right? We post news about what we're working on here at the radio station, what's going on around the Austin Peay campus, and important events in Clarksville, Montgomery County, and Fort Campbell. You can send us messages too. A campus and community reminder from the voice of Austin Peay, Clarksville's 91.9 FM. Time to show your school spirit. Austin Peay Homecoming Week kicks off Monday, October 17th and culminates Saturday, October 22nd when the Govs take on Mercer at Forterra Stadium. The week's full of great events, including the Student Talent Show, Golf Tournament, Soul Fest, Concert, and Step Show. Get the full schedule at apsu.edu/homecoming. A campus reminder from the voice of Austin Peay, Clarksville's 91.9 FM.
Welcome back into Heating Up. I'm Russell Jones, joined alongside the always great Elijah Wilson. We're ready to recap NFL Week 4. The Tennessee Titans fall to the Texans 27-20 in NRG Stadium, but the Titans had a great opportunity in this game to get a win that would have put them in 2-2, going to an easy stretch of 4 games here as they'll play Cleveland, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, along with Miami this week. So a huge opportunity missed. Mariota still struggling. DeMarco Murray seems to be carrying this offense so far.
Yeah, and a lot of people are talking about Mike Mularkey and things of that nature, rumblings about not liking him. But the fact is, Mike Mularkey is putting this team in a position to win. Dick LeBeau is putting that defense in a position to win, giving the ball and putting it into Mariota's hands. Mariota not being able to do that right now, but let's not jump the gun just yet. Marcus Mariota is still the face of this franchise. Marcus Mariota is still one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. Right now he's having some trouble with ball security. He'll get it figured out, but Titans fans, be patient a little bit. I know that y'all aren't very patient, but let's just remember that we had Jake Locker at quarterback a few years ago, and we were very patient with him. And so Marcus Mariota will be fine as the Titans quarterback.
For sure, and I want to rant on this just for a little bit. Why does 4 games negate the previous 12? Last year, Marcus Mariota completing over 60% of his balls, throwing for 20 TDs and only 12 interceptions. One of the most stellar rookie years. He actually leads the franchise when you take into account his first 16 games. As finishing up in Houston, that wraps up his 16th game of his career. And you compare his numbers to Steve McNair's, Vince Young's, and Jake Locker's through the first 16 games. He by far has the better numbers. So come off the ledge, Titans fans. Marcus Mariota has shown that he has the capabilities and the tools to be a franchise quarterback. You have to give him time. And I really think the issue lies within Terry Robiskie finding the perfect balance between the play calls that fit DeMarco Murray and also fit Marcus Mariota. Also, there's a thing that we've seen throughout the NFL's history called a sophomore slump.
Yeah, absolutely. And Terry Robiskie, I'm not sure that his offensive scheme fits Marcus Mariota perfectly, but he's doing a good job. And so I think Titans fans are jumping the gun a little bit right now. But Marcus Mariota is going to be fine. The Titans are going to be fine. Give them a little bit of time. They forget that Marcus Mariota is throwing to basically Delaney Walker. You've got Kendall Wright, who's had a bum hammy for about a year and a half, it seems like. You've got Tajay Sharp, who's a rookie, very good rookie nonetheless, but still a rookie, a veteran Andre Johnson, and Harry Douglas. Not the optimal receiving group to throw to that someone like Jameis Winston's throwing to with Mike Evans.
Let me give you 2 scores that very surprisingly stick out so far in the NFL. Jaguars beat the Colts in London 30-27. The Colts fall to 1-3. The Falcons beat the Carolina Panthers 48-33, and the Panthers fall to 1-3. So if you're an Indianapolis fan or a Carolina fan, who should be more uneasy?
The Colts, because the Panthers were in the Super Bowl last year. Andrew Luck, it still looks like he is the worst offensive line in the country. They are abysmal. And people said, well, Peyton Manning did it with the Colts. Why can't Andrew Luck? Well, Peyton Manning had an offensive line. Andrew Luck does not. But the Panthers should be a little weary. They can't find a way to win. Cam Newton kind of slowing up before the end zone, gets hit on a completely clean hit. I don't know what the narrative is right now in football that's going on where a lot of people think it's cool, I guess, to slow up before the end zone or drop the football before the end zone, but it needs to stop. You don't look that cool. And so I think if you're the Colts fans, you have to be a little bit more nervous because the Panthers have proved that they're a very good football team. Colts, maybe not so much.
Indeed, and Cam Newton's struggles, he might miss this week, is definitely a fear, but Andrew Luck and that Colts offense just looks abysmal, and that's kind of good news for the Titans, as now they have 2 teams in their division they should be able to compete and win with. The Steelers take care of the Chiefs 43-14. Ben Roethlisberger throws for 5 touchdowns. I just want to throw that one in there as they came off a big loss against Philly. They still, to me, look like the favorite to win the Super Bowl. We're going to preview NFL Week 5 now. Just quickly, the Titans go to Miami and play the Dolphins. The Dolphins come in as a 3.5-point favorite. But I feel a little desperation for the Titans. I think they can go down to Miami and get a win against a struggling Dolphins offense and a defense that still is yet to find their rhythm. They had a good showing against Seattle, but I feel like DeMarco Murray and Marcus Mariota hopefully can find a way to move the ball against this Miami defense.
Yeah, and the Miami game last year for the Titans at home was really the undoing of them. I felt like it was the turning point in their season. Olivier Vernon kind of takes a shot on Marcus Mariota late, and Marcus Mariota in turn sprains an MCL. And so I think this is a big revenge game for the Titans, but I see the Titans wreaking havoc against Ryan Tannehill and that Miami offense. If they can contain Jarvis Landry, I think that they will have a very good day, and I think the Titans can get a win in Miami.
One quick game I want to just throw at you quickly, Texans versus Vikings. I love the Vikings -6. The Vikings are my heating up team of the week. Sam Bradford has turned out to be a spectacular trade for the Minnesota Vikings. That defense has looked unbelievable as it's the #2 defense. I think they're the best team in the NFC and the favorite to play Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl come February.
Yeah, as of right now, Seattle and Minnesota are my 2 picks right now. But Minnesota looks really good as the favorite in the NFC. And who would have thought Sam Bradford 3-0 on the year, the only undefeated #1 pick.
And that's all the time we have for this week, folks. Thank you for listening for Govs TV and listening to Clarksville 91.9.
You've been listening to Heating Up, a weekly discussion of hot topics in the world of sports. Heating Up is a copyrighted production of the Communication Department at Austin Peay State University and produced in the studios of WAPX-FM. Opinions expressed on Heating Up are those of its hosts and guests and not necessarily those of the comm department, the station, or APSU. Join us next week for another edition of Heating Up on Clarksville's 91.9 FM.